So, of course, we were studying isolation and loneliness, and who better to learn from on these topics than professionals that operate 254 miles away from civilization. And of course, these professionals that I'm speaking of are astronauts. More specifically, we profiled Christina Koch's story in the book, and she's extraordinary. She's actually orbited planet Earth over 5,000 times. She spent 328 consecutive days in the International Space Station, which, by the way, is the most of any female astronaut ever. And are you ready for this? My fellow introverts, you ready to rejoice? She saw a total of 11 people during those 328 days. Pretty extraordinary. So, of course, she's in extreme isolation, as are most, if not all, astronauts. And so we wanted to ask her, how do you avoid loneliness? How do you maintain mental health and physical wellness in these extreme conditions? And here's what she told us. It was really fascinating. Here's what she said: clear direction. We weren't expecting that. I bet you weren't either. Clear direction. She said clarity in the mission, the roles, the tasks, the daily routines. That's what helps us to stay engaged and to keep loneliness at bay. More specifically, here's what she said. Regimentation is not a problem on the space station. Having a sense of purpose every single minute of the day is one of the things that helps us get through those long periods of isolation. Regimentation can really help. To take this idea of a lack of clear direction and how it can lead to isolation a little bit further, we also talked to Carter Cast. But before I share his comment, I want you to think about going for a hike. And if you had a map on your phone or a physical map ready to go on your hike, but then all of a sudden that was taken away from you, so you didn't have any means of direction, you would eventually wander, right? And wandering leads to being lost, and lost can be very extremely lonesome. So again, we talked to Carter Cast, and he kind of leaned into this idea of not knowing where to go and this lack of clear direction. Here's what he said. He said, when people face a problem with a lot of unknowns, they often pull back, isolate themselves rather than seeking the advice they need. People get scared and they retreat. Talking about his own personal experience, he said, the loneliest I've ever been was when I was managing at scale, and I just did not know if I was doing it right. I did not know who I could talk to. So to sum up all of this conversation around clear direction, here's what we need to know. Confusion spurs alienation, but it's clarity that cultivates connection. So where is a lack of clarity hindering your team's connections? Let me give you an example here. We profiled a leader that had hundreds of folks inside their organizations, and they had a really unique tool to give everyone extreme clarity in their jobs. And that was they had everyone cultivate a responsibility statement. Different from a job description, a responsibility statement is literally one sentence that defined exactly what they were intended to do. So they described it as a break the glass when things are really chaotic in your world of work, break the glass, and you can rely on that responsibility statement to give you clarity on what it is that you need to do. The specific example, which the one I think stood out the most to us, was for all of their interns. Here's their responsibility statement. Do what's asked and ask lots of questions. That's it. So as you can imagine, as an intern to a new organization, you don't know what's up from down. Things get crazy. But at the end of the day, you can return to your responsibility statement and say, I just need to do what I'm asked. And then I got to ask lots of questions. How much relief can come from that, right? How much more connection and involved and engagement can those interns be, knowing that they have that bedrock, that clear responsibility statement?